it's all for Jesus. It's all about him. I know this is the Chanta and Nichole show, and I know you all are not used to me playing 3 songs in a row. When I open up, usually I come right on and start talking after Jermaine Dolly's single "You." However, this morning I just needed a little more time to process my thoughts, just keeping it real. Y'all can't see that. However, that is what it was. And my experience this week, kind of highlighted some scriptures and highlighted a particular scripture in my spirit because, it is what it is. And it's just amazing when God begins to reveal who you are, who you have always been intended to be, to people around you who have only seen you one way. It's kind of hard for them to receive and see you another way. And so let's get right into scripture so that I can then explain a little more about what I'm talking about. And so the scripture is Matthew 13, verses 57 and 58. And I'm going to start, it says, "And they took offense at him, but Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor, except in his own town and in his own home. And he did not do many miracles there because of their lack of faith." Now, this, is amazing. This is amazing. This kind of came on the heels of, Jesus revealing who he was, basically. And folks just couldn't handle it. They just, they couldn't accept it. They couldn't handle it. And they began to question, who is this? And, they just could not handle who he really was. Yet he came here knowing who he was, knowing he was on assignment, knowing, that one day he would be revealed as the Messiah, and knowing that he would have to reveal himself. And the people that he grew up around, the people that he spent his formative years around, the people of his own hometown could not let go of who they saw him as. And so, it like I said, it reminded me this week, one of the definitions that was given for this scripture was as to how the people looked at Jesus. It says, they refused to believe in his teaching because they considered him one of themselves and therefore without authority to preach to them. So because they didn't know who he was, and because they thought he's just like us, it's like, who do you think he is? He can't teach me, he can't talk to me, he can't preach to me. Man, please, I'm not trying to hear that, basically. And the same thing has been happening to me, in a sense. Over the past few years, there have been some gifts and some things that have been manifested in my life, and they've been highlighted in the presence of people who have been watching me for over 10 years, and they never knew that this part of me existed. And so as it began to emerge, they become resentful of it. Like, yeah, whatever. Who do you think she is? She's just trying to be something. She's just trying to be out there. Yet, I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just being who God already ordained me to be. With certain gifts and talents, there's a spotlight that falls on you. Basically, God puts the spotlight on you. It's not something that you do on your own. It's not something that you force to happen. It's something that God just does because of his calling on your life. And when you begin to operate in what you were ordained and created to be, there is a light that shines around you and it draws attention to you, because that attention is drawn to you, like I said a couple of weeks ago, in order for you to then point people back to Christ. So, anywho, these particular gifts and this particular talent, whatever, that started emerging, is something that I knew about since I was 6 years old. And so at 6 years old, I told my grandmother, well, at 6 years old, the first thing that happened was I was in a school play. And I was in a school play and I was on stage. And when it was my turn to say the lines, they took the microphone away from me because I could not say the lines normal in the microphone. I would shout into the microphone because I thought that the people in the back of the auditorium needed to hear me. And I couldn't grasp the concept of if I speak into this little thing they were holding in front of me, they would hear me. So they just took the microphone away. So that was the first encounter with the stage for me. The next thing I did was we moved back to Philadelphia. We were living in Germantown with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. And I went in the kitchen and I told my grandmother when I grew up I was going to be in the box. And she said, the box? She didn't understand what I was talking about. So I took her into the living room and I said, yeah, I'm going to be in the box. So she looked in this little empty box that was in the living room and she was like, well, you can't be in there. Like, that's just a box. You can't be in there when you grow up. I mean, they're playing it right now, but you can't be in. And I said, no, the talking box. And I pointed to the television. And so then she was all proud. You know how grandma's be. And she was like, that's right, baby. You do whatever you want. You know, Mama Dell, Cousin Angel can attest to how she just believed in you no matter what. And anyway, my next encounter with the stage was at 8 years old, but this time it was backstage. I was only a narrator in the school play, and as the narrator, I would come out. We were doing, it was like a Thanksgiving thing, and so I would come out and set up the story, and then these other two kid actors would come out and they would play it out, and so forth and so on. So it was me and another kid that was the narrator. So anyway, the day of the school play, funny thing happened. 3 out of the 4 actors got sick. So it was myself, the other narrator, and one other actor. So the teacher was like, we're going to have to call the play off because all the kids are sick and that's it. They don't have any understudies. And at the time I had no idea what an understudy was, so I was 8, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm sitting into that and I said, well, I could hear them talking, and I recognized it was a problem. And so the problem was there was nobody to do the lines. And so I knew everybody's lines. So I stepped up, I said to the teacher, I know everybody's lines, I could do it. And she said, you know everybody's lines? And I said, yeah, and I began to recite everybody's lines. And she was like, and her and another teacher looked at each other and they said, okay, let her do it. So I went out there and did the narrator part, and I go backstage, and I come back out. And then by the 3rd time I came out, folks started laughing because every time they turn around, the same kid is coming back out on the stage. And needless to say, we got to the end of the play, and people liked it, and my teacher told my mother that she should put me in commercials. She should pursue acting for me because it would be something I would be really good at. Now, life happened, and that pursuit never occurred. And life happened so much so that that was a dream that I let go of and gave up on and never looked back at. And the last school play I was in, I was 13 years old. And so then I got saved at about 22. And then, somewhere around 26, God began to wake up, reawaken that gift and that love for acting and storytelling and that kind of thing. And it just evolved. And so now let's fast forward, and we're 20 years in now. And 20 years in, I have gotten a lot of experience behind the scenes, and I've gotten a lot of experience on stage, and I've gotten a lot of experience in front of the camera. And it's something that I never quite shared with folk who've only known me about 10 years. And so as it's begun to emerge, and I'm all over the place and I'm doing different things, in their vision, I'm trying to be seen. And in their limited vision, I think it's all about me. And in their limited sight on who I am and their limited insight on who God is, they have put me in a box. And so automatically, I must be doing this to be self-serving, when in actuality, the opposite is true, because I've had a discussion with the Lord more than 6 years ago where I talked to him about, these gifts and talents and why it is that he's always connected me in ways in which it could have emerged long ago, but they did not. And what is the deal with that? And he said, because it wasn't meant for over there, it was meant for over here, so that you could develop in the kingdom and then take the message of the kingdom back out there in a way in which people who only are open in entertainment ways, their hearts are only open to entertainment, can receive it. So that's where I am. So when people begin to slander your name and they begin to question your motives and they begin to paint a picture of you that is not real and it is not who you are, and it's because they don't understand who God has created you to be, who you've been either robbed of, walked away from, hid, or whatever, and now it's emerging, it goes back to the scripture. A prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown and in his own home. See, because people who don't know me, they love what they see God doing. They pray for me. They encourage me. They push me, you know. They feed me with their energy of excitement and of genuine love and support. And yet people who I've given my heart to and I've been around and I've served in a humble capacity and I've given all of me whenever I'm involved, they're questioning me. They're dismissing me. So, anywho, this was the scripture that the Lord gave me, and I'm just saying what I'm saying. You don't ever know who a person is, because you never know the whole story. Only God knows the entire story. You get bits and pieces, and out of those bits and pieces, don't always assume the negative. Ask God. Just go to your knees and ask Him, who is this person? What are they about? Are they one of yours? He'll tell you. I mean, he told me. You know, if I sincerely ask him about something, show me who they are, Lord, so that I won't be deceived. I don't automatically put people in a suspect column. So he shows me. And it don't take long. And then I say, okay, show me how to deal with it. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Show me how to deal with it. And so anyway, at the end of the day, I would say if you've been misunderstood, you've been painted improperly, you've been, people just don't get you. It's okay. We in good company. They ain't get Jesus either. You know what I'm saying? And so, it is what it is. I love y'all. We're going to get back into this music. Don't be afraid to allow your light to shine in whatever that area of life is that God is beginning to turn the wattage up. Because that is who He created you to be. And the more you walk in that, the more, like when Cousin Angel first joined us, said, the more you will be a blessing to someone else. And so don't you dare block somebody from going to their next level because you're afraid to share.